Ion sat on the roof of his house, looking up at the sky. The stars were bright, but they did not make him happy. The wind was soft, but it did not calm his heart. He held his phone, hoping for a message that would never come. It had been 4 months since Rami moved away. Rami had been his best friend since they were kids. They went to school together, played games, and shared dreams. Rami always smiled, even when life was hard. He made Ion laugh when things felt heavy. They talked about the future like it was a book they would write together. But one day, everything changed. Rami's family had to move to another city because of his father's job. It happened fast. One week they were sitting in their usual spot at the park, and the next week, Rami was gone. No goodbye, just a short message. We're leaving tomorrow. I'll miss you. Ion read that message every night. He felt something missing inside him, like a quiet room in his heart that used to be full. He tried calling, but Rami didn't answer. He tried writing, but Rami didn't reply. Maybe he was busy. Maybe he had new friends. Ion didn't know, but it made him feel alone. At school, people talked and laughed, but Ion felt like he was not really there. He still walked the same path, sat at the same desk, and ate the same lunch. But everything felt different. He wanted to talk to someone, but he didn't know how to say the words that sat heavy in his chest. He missed the way Rami would listen without judging. He missed the way they dreamed about building things together, maybe even becoming engineers. Or space travelers. They used to say humans can do anything. Just need to try. Ion still believed that. But believing didn't make the sadness go away. One evening, he sat at his table, trying to do homework. But his eyes kept going to the empty chair beside him. Rami used to sit there, helping him with math. Now, the chair stayed empty, and the silence filled the room. Ion closed his books and walked out. He walked to the park, their old spot under the big tree. The tree looked the same, but the air felt cold. He sat down and picked up a small stone. He used to throw these stones with Rami, counting who could hit the tree trunk the most. Oh, he just held the stone in his hand. He whispered, "I miss you, Rami. Why don't you talk to me anymore?" The wind moved through the leaves, but there was no answer. Ion felt tears in his eyes, but he didn't cry. He wanted to be strong. Rami had always believed in him. He remembered what they used to say. Humans never give up. Try again and again. He could try one more time. He went home and opened his old notebook. Inside it were drawings he and Rami had made together. One showed a rocket ship with the words, "Human Friendship Forever." He smiled a little. The page gave him a small light in his heart. Maybe all was not lost. He turned to a fresh page and started writing a letter. "Dear Rami," he wrote, "I hope you're okay. I miss our talks and our dreams. I don't know why we stopped talking. Maybe you're busy, or maybe you forgot. But I still think of you. I still believe in what we used to say, that humans can do great things. Trying to be strong, but it's hard without you. If you read this, just send me one message. One, hello. That would be enough. Your friend Ion." He folded the letter and placed it in an envelope. He didn't have Rami's new address, but he thought maybe one day he could give it to him. Or maybe he would find another way. He didn't feel fully better, but he felt something change, a small spark of hope. The night still felt quiet, but not empty. He looked out the window and said softly, "I will not give up." Humans don't stop trying. It's asterisk the next morning. Ion woke up early. The sun was still low in the sky, and the air was cool. He sat at the edge of his bed and looked at the letter he had written the night before. It was lying on his desk, beside the old notebook full of memories. The envelope was still sealed. He didn't know where to send it, but something about writing it had made him feel stronger. He got dressed and went downstairs. His mother was in the kitchen, making breakfast. She looked at him and smiled. "You're up early," she said. "I couldn't sleep much," Ion replied. "I was thinking." She handed him a glass of warm milk and said, "Everything okay?" Ion nodded, but inside, he was still full of questions. He wanted to ask her if she knew how to find someone who moved away, but he wasn't sure what to say. so he stayed quiet. He took small sips of the milk and watched the sun rise through the window. After breakfast, Ion packed his school bag and left for school. On the way, he passed by the small shop where he and Rami used to buy snacks. The man at the counter waved at him. "Not buying your favorite chips today?" the man asked. Ion gave a small smile. "Not today." At school, Ion sat in his usual seat, but the chair next to him still felt too empty. The teachers talked, the students laughed, but his mind was far away. He kept thinking about Rami. Was Rami thinking about him too? Or had he moved on with a new life and new friends? During lunch break, Ion walked alone in the schoolyard. He passed by the science lab, and something made him stop. Inside, the teacher was setting up a small display of solar system models. It reminded Ion of how he and Rami used to talk about building rockets. Their dream was to become space explorers. They even gave their team a name, HFY, Humans for the Yonder. It was their own secret group, full of dreams and plans. Ion smiled for the first time that day. He walked into the lab and looked at the models. "Do you like space?" the teacher asked, noticing him. "Yes," Ion replied. "Me and my friend used to build things like this." The teacher nodded. "Space brings people together, makes us feel small, but also full of wonder. That's the power of humans. We always reach for more." Those words stayed with Ion. He walked back to class and opened his notebook again. This time, instead of writing a letter, he started drawing. He drew a picture of two boys standing under a starry sky, holding a small flag with HFY written on it. It made him feel close to Rami again, even if they were far apart. That evening, Ion sat at the dining table with his parents. He finally spoke up. "Do we have any way to contact Rami's family?" he asked. His parents looked surprised. "We haven't heard from them since they moved," his father said. "Why? I miss him," Ion said quietly. His mother reached over and touched his hand. "We understand. Maybe we can try calling the school office. They might have an address or number." Ion's heart lifted a little. It wasn't a promise, but it was a start. Maybe he could find a way to reach Rami. Maybe the letter would not have to stay hidden in the drawer forever. That night, he stood by the window and looked at the stars again. He remembered what the science teacher had said. Humans always reach for more, even when they feel small, even when things seem lost. He whispered to himself, "I won't stop. I will try again, even if I don't know how." It was not easy. The sadness was still there, but now it was mixed with a quiet hope. Ion didn't have answers, but he had a direction. He would keep drawing, keep writing, and keep believing. Somewhere out there, Rami might be feeling the same, and if they could find each other again, it would be because they never gave up. Ion walked slowly through the street near his house. He passed the bookstore where he and Rami used to sit after school, reading comic books and science magazines. The shop was still there, still full of stories. But now it felt quiet, like a place where a voice had gone missing. He pushed the door open. The bell above rang, just like before. The old man at the counter looked up. "Haven't seen you in a while?" the man said kindly. Ion smiled a little. "I was just passing by." He walked over to the corner where he and Rami used to sit. The same books were there, the same chairs. But only one was filled now. Ion picked up a book about space exploration. He turned the pages slowly. Rockets, planets, stars. It reminded him of Rami's laughter when they used to dream about flying. Away, far into space, he remembered something. One time Rami had said, "Even if I go to another planet, I'll send you a signal. HFY always stays together." That memory made Ion feel warm and sad at the same time. He left the bookstore and walked back home. At dinner, his parents were quiet. They knew Ion was still thinking about his friend. He wasn't the same boy since Rami moved. He didn't laugh as much. He didn't share stories the way he used to. After dinner, his mother spoke gently. "I called your school today? They said they might have a number for Rami's new school." Ion's eyes lit up. "Really? They will check and let me know tomorrow." That night, Ion couldn't sleep. He lay in bed, looking at the ceiling. thinking about what he would say if he finally talked to Rami. Would Rami still remember him the same way? Would he still care? He got up and went to his desk. He opened the notebook again. He looked at the drawing he had made of the two boys under the stars. Then he flipped to a new page and started writing. Even if we are far, the sky is still the same. I hope you're looking at it too, he smiled. These small words helped him feel closer, even though Rami was still far away. The next day at school, Ion waited all day for the bell to ring. He rushed home as soon as it did. He found his mother waiting in the living room. They sent the number, she said, handing him a small paper. It's the office of his new school. You can ask if he's there. Ion stared at the number. His hands felt cold. He had waited for this moment, but now he was nervous. What if Rami didn't want to talk? What if he had changed? He remembered their promise. Humans don't give up. HFY means never stopping, even when it's hard. He picked up the phone and dialed the number. A woman answered. Hello, this is Lakeside High School. How can I help you? Ion spoke softly. Hi, I'm trying to reach a student named Rami Siddiq. Moved there a few months ago. He's my friend. Please hold, the woman said. A YAN held the phone tightly. The seconds felt like hours. Then the woman came back. Yes, Rami. Studies here. Would you like to leave a message? Ion took a deep breath. Please tell him, Ion called, from his old school. Tell him I still remember everything. The woman paused, then said, I'll let him know. Ion thanked her and hung up. He didn't know what would happen next. Maybe Rami would call. Maybe he wouldn't, but at least now he had tried. That was something. He looked outside. Sky was slowly turning orange with the evening sun. He felt calm for the first time in weeks. The next day passed slowly. No message came. Ion tried not to feel disappointed. He had done his part. But then, as he walked home from school, his phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. Ion, it's me, Rami. Ion stopped walking. His heart beat fast. I didn't know how to talk to you after moving. Everything felt strange. But I missed you a lot. Ion smiled. His hand shook as he typed a reply. I missed you too, every single day. HFY forever. The reply came fast. HFY forever. Asterisk Ion read the message again and again. Each time, it made his heart feel lighter. Rami had finally replied. After so many days of silence, those simple words felt like a door opening after being locked for too long. That night, Ion sat on his bed, staring at the screen. He didn't want the moment to end. He typed another message. I thought you forgot me. Rami replied, Never. I just didn't know what to say. Everything changed so fast. Ion smiled and wrote back, It felt like the world got quiet without you. For a few minutes, neither of them said anything. Then Rami sent another message. Do you remember our rocket plans? Ion's eyes filled with tears, but they were not sad tears. He nodded to himself and typed, Yes. HFY, Humans 4. The Yonda Rami replied, We said we'd reach the stars. We said we'd never stop trying. Ion whispered those words to himself. They were more than childhood dreams now. They were a promise. Even distance couldn't break it. Over the next few days, Ion and Rami started messaging each other often. It wasn't the same as being together, but it was better than silence. They talked about school, about new friends, and about how strange everything felt. They shared drawings, ideas, and memories. One day, Ion sent Rami a photo of their old park, the big tree, and the spot where they used to sit. Rami replied, That's my favorite place in the world. I miss it. I sit there sometimes, Ion typed. I talk to you like you're still beside me. Rami sent back a small message. You were never alone. I just didn't know how to come back. Ion felt that sentence deeply. Sometimes people care but don't know how to show it. Sometimes silence doesn't mean forgetting. That weekend, Ion opened the notebook again. He started working on a new project. It was a plan for a small rocket made with cardboard, glue, and wires. It was not real, but it was a symbol, a sign, that their dream was still alive. He wrote on the side of the rocket, HFY lives. He took a picture and sent it to Rami. Rami replied, "That's amazing. I want to build one too." Ion sent back, "Let's both build one." At the same time, even if we're far, they agreed to work on it each weekend, sharing updates and photos. It became something they both looked forward to. It brought back the feeling of teamwork, of being part of something that mattered. At school, Ion felt lighter. He started smiling again. He raised his hand in class. He talked to classmates more. The world didn't feel so far away anymore. His teachers noticed. His parents noticed too. "You seem different," his mother said. One night, "I feel like myself again," Ion replied. "Rami and I are building something." She smiled and nodded. "That's good. You're not alone." Ion remembered how hard it was before, the silence, the sadness, the empty chair. But now there was something new. Hope, and not just any hope. Human hope. The kind that grows even in distance. The kind that says, "I will try again." One evening, as Ion was adding colors to the cardboard rocket, his phone rang. It was a video call from Rami. Ion stared at the screen. He had never seen Rami since he moved. His heart beat fast. He answered. Rami's face appeared. He looked older, a little taller, but his smile was the same. "Hey," Rami said softly. "Hey," Ion replied. Smiling, they didn't speak much at first. Just looked at each other, both feeling a little shy. Then Ion lifted the small rocket and showed it to the camera. Rami laughed and held up his own. It looked different, but it had the same words written on the side. "HFY lives," Rami said. They both laughed. For the first time in a long time, it felt like they were in the same place again. "I'm glad we talked again," Ion said. "Me too," Rami replied. "I was scared. I thought maybe you were angry." "I was never angry," Ion said. "Just sad," Rami nodded. "But we're still here, still building, still dreaming, because we're human," Ion said, "and humans don't give up." They sat in silence for a moment, both holding their little rockets, both feeling the weight of those words. It didn't matter how far they were. What mattered was that they tried, and kept trying. Together, even from far away. Ion woke up early on Saturday. The sun was still hiding behind the clouds and the air felt cool. He sat up in bed and looked at the small rocket on his table. It was almost finished now. Only the final touches were left. He smiled and picked up his phone. There was a new message from Rami. "Good morning, Captain. My rocket is ready. Just needs paint." Ion replied quickly. "Same here. Let's paint together at 4 p.m. video call." Perfect. Even though Rami lived far away now, this small routine made Ion feel close to him again. Each weekend they worked on their rockets together, shared ideas, and laughed like they used to. The sadness was still there sometimes, but it didn't feel so heavy anymore. At breakfast, Ion's mother noticed his good mood. "Big day for the space team?" she asked with a smile. "Yes," Ion said. "Today we add the colors." His father looked up from his newspaper. "What colors are you choosing, blue and white?" Ion said. "It reminds me of the sky and peace." "That's nice," his father said. "Sounds like something that brings hope." Ion nodded. That was what he felt too. He didn't say it out loud, but he was starting to understand something deep. Hope wasn't about big things. Sometimes it was just one message, one call, one friend who still cared. At 4 p.m., Ion sat at his desk with brushes and paint. He set up the video call. Rami appeared on the screen with a wide smile. "I've been waiting all day," Rami said. "Me too," Ion replied. They talked as they painted. Rami was using red and silver. His rocket looked different, but their hearts were in the same place. "I wish we could launch them together," Ion said. Rami looked at him through the screen. "Maybe one day we can." Ion paused, then asked, "Do you ever feel far? Like even when we talk, something is still missing?" Rami nodded. Slowly, "Yes. I feel it too. I miss walking beside you. I miss being in the same place." Ion looked down. "Sometimes I still feel sad. Like I'm smiling, but my heart is quiet." Rami was quiet for a moment, then said, "You know what I think? It's part of being human. We feel a lot. We don't stop. That's why we started HFY, remember?" Ion smiled again. Humans for the yonder. "We reach for more," Rami said. "Even when we feel far." They finished painting their rockets. Ion held his up to the camera. "It looks amazing," Rami said. "So does yours," Ion replied. They sat in silence again, just looking at each other's work. Then Rami said something Ion wasn't expecting. "There's something I want to show you." He moved his phone and pointed it toward a box on the floor. Inside the box was a notebook. Rami opened it and showed the pages. "Drawings, notes, maps of stars. I started writing a story," Rami said. "About two boys who build rockets and never stop dreaming." Ion's eyes filled with surprise. "That's our story." "Yes," Rami said, "but it has a different ending. In this one, they grow up and build a real rocket. Together." Ion felt something strong in his chest, a feeling that maybe distance didn't matter so much after all. As long as the dream stayed alive, they would always be connected. "That's a good story," Ion said. "Let's finish it together." "I'd like that," Rami replied. They talked for a while longer, then said goodbye. But this time, goodbye didn't feel like an ending. It felt like a beginning. That night, Ion sat by the window. Stars were bright, and the moon was high. He held the little rocket in his hand and whispered, "I'm still trying, Rami." "We're still trying." He placed the rocket on his shelf, right beside the notebook. He felt calm, but not because everything was perfect. It was because he had hope again. Real hope. The kind that stays, even when people move away. The kind that grows. Even when things are hard. And that was the heart of HFY. Not just about reaching stars or building rockets. It was about holding on. To dreams. To friends. To the belief that humans don't give up. Even when they're far apart. Asterisk, the days passed slowly. But Ion didn't feel as lost as before. The messages with Rami were still coming. They didn't talk every hour, but when they did, it felt real. It felt warm. He still missed seeing Rami in person, hearing his voice without a screen, laughing together side by side. But something had changed now. He had hope. One day at school, a science teacher made an announcement. "There is a national science competition coming next month," she said. "Students can join in teams or alone. It's a great chance to build something and show your ideas." Ion's heart jumped. This was exactly what he and Rami used to dream about. He raised his hand. "Can I join with someone who isn't from this school?" The teacher looked surprised. "You mean someone from another city?" "Yes," Ion said. "We want to work together," the teacher smiled. "If you can manage the work together, then yes. But the project must be original and ready on time." Ion nodded. "We'll do it." That evening, Ion called Rami. "You won't believe this," he said. "There's a science competition next month. We can join as a team." Rami's face lit up. "Really? Even from different schools?" "Yes. We just need to work together and submit one project." Rami leaned back in his chair, thinking, "This is our chance." Ion smiled. HFY never gives up. They started planning that same night. They talked about ideas. They looked at past projects. They wanted to make something simple but powerful, something that showed human connection, even from far away. After 2 days of thinking, Rami said, "What if we build a small device that sends light signals across long distances? Like a message system." Ion nodded. "It's like sending hope, even if we're far." They called it the HFY beacon. It was a small box with a button and a light. When one person pressed the button, the other person's light would blink. It was a simple idea, but it felt deep, like saying, "I'm here. I remember you." They started building their parts. Rami worked from his room. Ion worked from his. Every evening they shared progress through video calls. They showed circuits, wires, and drawings. Sometimes things didn't work. Sometimes the light didn't blink. But they didn't stop. One night, Ion was tired. He sat quietly, tools scattered around him. "I don't think it's working," he said. Rami looked at him on the screen. It will. We're close. But what if it's not good enough? Rami smiled. Ion, this isn't just a project. This is our way of saying something bigger. The distance can't stop humans from connecting. Ion looked up. He remembered the rocket. He remembered the stars. He remembered their promise. You're right, he said. We'll finish this. After 2 more weeks, the device was ready. They pressed the button at the same time. In Ion's room, the light blinked. In Rami's room, it blinked too. They laughed, both cheering. It works, Ion said. It really works. We did. It, Rami said. HFY forever. They recorded a video showing how the device worked and explained the idea behind it. They called it the Hope Signal, a light that crosses distance. They sent it to the competition. Then they waited. Days passed. Again one morning, Ion received an email. He opened it quickly. Congratulations. Your project has been selected. For the final round, he ran to his parents and showed them the message. His mother hugged him. His father smiled proudly. You worked hard, his father said. You and your friend made something beautiful. Ion couldn't stop smiling. He called Rami right away. Guess what? He shouted. We're in the finals. Rami jumped up and cheered. We did it. Ion looked at the screen, feeling the connection stronger than ever. Even though they were in different cities, they had built something together. Not just a project, but a bridge between them. A small device that said, I'm still here. A sign that even when people move away, the bond doesn't have to break. And deep in their hearts, both boys knew this was only the beginning, because humans never give up, because HFY still lived, because even from a distance, hope still glowed. Like a tiny light blinking in the dark, reminding them they were not alone. The day of the science competition's final round had arrived. Ion stood in front of his laptop, his hands slightly shaking. His room was clean and quiet. A small HFY beacon sat neatly on the table beside him, glowing softly. It was the same light that had blinked in 2 different cities, the same light that helped 2 friends feel close. Even from far away, Ion wore a simple shirt. But he had placed a tiny sticker on his chest, the letters HFY, written in blue ink. Rami joined the video call a few minutes later. He smiled when he saw Ion. You ready, Captain? Nodded. I think so. Nervous. Rami laughed. Yes, but we've come this far. That's what matters. Together, they waited as the screen changed and the judges appeared. Each team had 5 minutes to present their project. Ion and Rami were the third group. As they waited, Ion looked at the screen and thought about the journey. He remembered the first few weeks after Rami moved, how empty everything felt. The quiet nights, the unanswered messages, the drawings in the notebook. He remembered sitting under the tree in the park, whispering Rami's name. And now, here they were on one screen, in 2 different cities, but united by something strong. Friendship, hope, and the belief that humans never give up. The judge called their names. Team HFY. You may begin. Ion started speaking, his voice a little soft at first, but steady. Hello, I'm Ion, and this is my teammate Rami. We made something called the HFY Beacon. It's a small device that shows how humans can stay connected, even when they are far apart, Rami continued. When one person presses a button, a light blinks on the other person's device. It's a simple signal, but it means a lot. It says, I'm here. I still remember you. Ion held up the small box. We built it together from different cities. We tested it every week. And every time the light blinked, we felt close. Again, Rami added, we believe hope is powerful. Even when life changes, even when people move away. Our project is about human friendship, staying strong and always trying again. They both smiled at the screen. When their time ended, the judges thanked them and moved on to the next team. The call continued for another hour. Ion and Rami stayed online the whole time, talking quietly between presentations. Whatever happens, Ion said, we did something special. Rami nodded. We didn't just build a device, we built our friendship back. When the final results were announced, Ion didn't expect much. He had already received what he wanted, a chance to reconnect. But then the judge said, and now the winner of the Best Concept Award goes to Team HFY for their project, The Hope Signal. Ion froze. Rami gasped. We won. Their screen filled with claps and smiles from other teams and teachers. You believed, Rami said, almost in a whisper. Ion laughed. We both did. After the event, Ion's parents came into the room and hugged him tightly. You made us proud, his mother said. You showed what friendship means, his father added. Ion felt full, not just of happiness, but of peace. He no longer felt alone. The space Rami left behind was still there, but now it was filled with light. Messages, memories, and hope. That evening, Ion and Rami sat on video call again. I wish we could meet in person, Rami said. It's been so long. Me too, Ion replied. But maybe one day. They looked at their HFY beacons. The lights blinked once, softly a Y, and picked up his notebook. He turned to a blank page and wrote a single sentence. We kept trying, and that made all the difference. He smiled and looked at Rami. What's next for Team HFY? Rami asked. Ion grinned. Maybe we write that story you started. Maybe we build something else. Whatever it is, we'll do it together. Even if from far away, because real friendship doesn't fade, because hope doesn't stop shining, because HFY lives not just in dreams or machines, but in hearts that don't give up. Asterisk Ion sat quietly in the park under the big tree. The wind moved gently through the leaves, and the sun made soft shadows on the ground. He looked up at the sky and smiled. It was the same sky he and Rami used to stare at together. Even though Rami now lived far away, this sky still connected them. In his hands, Ion held a small book. The cover had 2 rockets drawn in simple lines, flying side by side. On the top, the title was written, Humans for the Yonder, a Story. A friendship. He flipped through the pages slowly. Each page was filled with drawings, words, and ideas, all created by him and Rami. Over the past weeks, they had started writing their story together. It wasn't just about science or space. It was about 2 boys who believed that even from far away, they could still build something strong. Every night they wrote a little more. They talked about their memories, their dreams, and the lessons. They learned it helped them feel close again. It helped them feel brave. Ion opened his phone and took a picture of the park. Then he sent it to Rami. Rami replied within seconds. Our tree. I miss that place. I miss it too, Ion wrote. But I'm sitting here for both of us. He waited, then saw Rami was typing. Let's promise something, Rami wrote. That no matter where life takes us, we'll never stop trying. We'll always reach out. We'll always believe in people. Ion read the words twice. Then he replied, I promise. HFY, forever. Rami sent back a small heart and added, something good happened today. What? Ion asked. My parents said we might come back to visit during the school break. Ion sat up straighter. Really? Yes? Just for a few days? But maybe we could meet in person. Ion smiled so wide it hurt his cheeks. That would be the best day ever. He closed his notebook gently and looked around the park. Even though he was sitting alone, he didn't feel lonely. The sadness that once lived inside him had become something different. It had turned into hope. He remembered the first day after Rami moved, the silence, the confusion, the feeling of being left behind, and then slowly how things changed. One message, one drawing, one light blinking on a small machine. It took time. It took patience. But most of all, it took heart. Ayan stood up and walked home, feeling light. When he reached his room, he saw the little rocket on the shelf. He picked it up and placed it beside the HFY beacon. 2 things. 1 dream. He opened his notebook again. On the last page, he wrote a new sentence. Sometimes the people we miss the most are the ones who help us grow. Then he closed the book and looked at the stars outside his window. He imagined Rami doing the same thing in his city. Under the same sky, they were still far, but not really. not in the ways that mattered, because distance could not stop a message. It could not stop a light from blinking. It could not stop a heart from reaching out. And that was what HFY truly meant. Not rockets, not science, not even winning prizes, but the simple, powerful truth that being human means never giving up on those we care about, even when it's hard, even when we don't know how, even when we feel far. We still try, we still hope, we still love, and sometimes that's more than enough asterisk.